Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time. You know I'm having a ball. If I sound a little bit tired today, it's because I am. Excuse me. Welcome back to the channel. Lads and ladies, and welcome to another replay sent in by Qwerties. This one, he doesn't do super well in the 155 here, but Qwerties' French lineup is chock full of powerful vehicles that we'll be talking about today, so it's okay to get wiped out on the first spawn sometimes. Like I said in another video, things don't always start off well, but they can still turn into some great games. And along that note, I ran into some adversity over the past few days. I just had a major update to Windows, and it killed my ability to record audio. So I just looked up the issue, and Windows did nothing to tell me about this, but they installed a privacy update where I have to give apps permission to use my microphone. That's actually kind of cool, but at the same time, it doesn't give me enough control over which apps have permission to use my microphone, so it ends up being pointless. Anyway, nice to see you try, Microsoft, you scaly lizard. Anyway, now that I'm able to hear my own voice again, I'm glad that I can make videos for you guys. And we're back watching Qwerties, this time in his 4.7 French lineup, now in the Sherman M4 FL10, I think that's what it's called, a fantastic medium tank, one of the strongest mediums in the game at its battle rating, and one of the most enjoyable tanks to play. With your very good penetration for your battle rating, and very fast autoloader, you're able to really make a difference in a battle quickly, as we see Qwerties pumping round after round into that enemy Avenger, this time for the kill assist. Moving along now, he has some more targets to track down, and will follow him into the future. Back to the future it is. And speaking of, right through the back of the turret on the Sherman, and then the enemy Firefly whirling around, but not able to rescue itself in time, with only 4 crew members. Losing the turret crew wipes out the Sherman, Firefly, and a shot through the rear of the Chaffee takes it down as well. The M4 hull, not capable of sustaining a lot of damage, generally getting one shot, and the quick boy M18 is just zooming right on out of there as Qwerties takes another shot at the enemy. But you're not going to survive a lot of hits in the M4 FL10. What you are going to be able to do is put a lot of hurt down range, and with its good turret handling, as you see there, it's able to whip the gun onto target rather quickly. That's something that the M10 could not say for itself, speeding around that corner, running into Qwerties, and getting taken down by the acceptable amount of spalling that the very powerful cannon on the M4 FL10 can produce. This is a premium vehicle that if you haven't picked it up, I would recommend. Right now, I'm not giving any money to Gaijin. I'm kind of concerned with some of their decisions when it comes to their reasons for removing the mouse from the game and a few other things. So I'm just going to kind of hang back a little bit, and that's hard because there's some really interesting things coming out with update 1.91. There's some very good signs coming with 1.91, including the map rotation filter, which I think is just an excellent change. And I think it will really help to prove some of the concepts that the community has been trying to communicate to Gaijin, that we're willing to deal with the potential for increased queue times in between battles if we can find better matches that are more like what we're looking for. The Quantitative Matchmaker that's already in play in the game has been one of my favorite experiences. I haven't really talked about it enough, and we'll have this replay going in the background while I talk about the fact that Quantitative Matchmaker was introduced recently into War Thunder, and apparently what it means is that there will only be 4 top tier vehicles on the enemy team or your team for an up tier. Now, if everybody is at the top tier, then it is what it is. But in a worst case scenario, you're only going to see 4 enemy players with a complete up tier over you. And effectively, what I've noticed in battles is that when I'm top tier, I feel much more powerful because the enemy team is almost all below me, with maybe only 4 players that have even 1 vehicle at my battle rating. And when I'm bottom tier, I don't feel overpowered, which is a really cool deal, because there's not an entire enemy team that's a whole battle rating higher than me. There's only 4 at most. And so it's a win-win. It really has improved the quality of life, the quality of matches. I have far fewer matches where I just get wiped out from the beginning. And I didn't think it would have that much of an effect. I was not asking for Quantitative Matchmaker, but the fact that you can only have 4 tanks at top tier on each side of the playing field makes things more enjoyable for me in every one of my matches, and I'm thrilled. It's also something that should technically have an impact and cause queue times to be longer, more time waiting between matches, but I've noticed no such thing. So that goes to show that some of the things that you would think would increase wait time in between matches actually don't, because people are already waiting for a match, and the popular vehicles, it's not difficult to find a match for. Add to that the fact that Matchmaker is a little bit flexible, where you don't have to have a full team on both sides to start a match, and you realize that there's enough people playing War Thunder that something that could increase queue times doesn't necessarily actually increase queue times. Hopefully, Gaijin will stop using that as an excuse to not balance the game. So that's something I'm really looking forward to in the future. I think it is something that's coming. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that's not happening right now. It's not worth complaining. We'll see what the future holds. But for now, I'm holding off on spending money on War Thunder. Not because I think it's a bad game by any means. I think it's the best game out there, and there's nothing like it. But I'm just a little bit concerned with where it... I guess just the attitude of the people that are in charge of what gets added to or removed from the game. So we'll just see how things work out. And I think my favorite vehicles are going to stay mostly unaffected. So we'll see. All of that is to say, QWERTYs, you've been doing a great job here, just wiping out people in your M4 Sherman with the FL10 turret, and I haven't even been talking about what's going on, so my apologies, but it feels really good to be able to make videos again and to record my voice. I just played a really fun Pathfinder session with my buddies Sam and David, and I just talked with my brother, so hopefully he'll be playing with us as well. For those of you that don't know, I play Pathfinder Tabletop, which is like Dungeons and Dragons, and I have some video logs of those gameplay sessions. You won't see us actually playing, but you'll hear me review the shenanigans that we get involved in, because our sessions are like 4 or so hours long. There's a lot of dead air and a lot of dick jokes, and I just don't want to share all of that with all of you. Anyway, I really should pay more attention to what Quarties is doing here. Sorry, Quarties, if I've been talking over the action. Now a shot comes in, and the cannon breech is taken down along with the crew. Unlike other models of Sherman, the FL10 has a oscillating turret, and that means that the turret is almost more self-contained than your typical tank, and that often ends up having the effect, as with other oscillating turret vehicles, that when you get hit in the turret, even by an armor-piercing high explosive round, it often doesn't wipe out the whole crew. So you can sometimes survive a hit in the M4 FL10, but at the same time, once your turret and your breech gets taken down, you have no way of protecting yourself right out of the spawn. Quarties comes back with a kill on a spawn camping M10 that was looking completely the wrong direction. Maybe he had decided to move out of spawn and play the objective. Who's to say? Maybe he was going to try and flank some of those people that are recapturing the capture zone. In any event, Quarties now checking the skies for the enemy aircraft that shot him in the engine deck. Even the transmission as well. Wow, what a hard hit. It sounded like, oh yes. Wow, what is that? That looks to be a British fighter with 20 mils, and it just shredded that flak truck. So, Flak 88 down, Quarties pushing forward, supporting the Shermans as he spots... What is it? What do your elven eyes see, Quarties? There he is! Looks like a Sherman Jumbo. The Super Sherman, very capable of frontally penetrating a Sherman Jumbo, even from this range. He's going to need to be able to slip one over the house, though, or that shop? Is that what that is? Oh, that's not a Jumbo at all. That is... and it looks like an Easy 8, so M4 Sherman 76 wet rack, and another shot through the side of the turret. You can recognize the turret armor is not quite so thick there as it is on the Jumbo, but again, even if that was a Jumbo, he would be able to get punched through by the extremely powerful cannon that's available on the French Super Sherman. It's difficult to say which is the strongest Sherman in the game. Is it the French FL10 or the French Super Sherman? I would say it's one of those because of the great power of their guns. The American Easy 8 is also a very solid contender for best Sherman, with its low speed stabilizer that you find on many Shermans, but its reliable 76mm cannon with armor-piercing high explosive rounds that are so good at one-shotting enemy vehicles or taking down tanks through obscure weak spots, and its fantastic gun handling and reload rate and decent mobility and all-around stats all combine to make the American Sherman one of the strongest tanks in the game as well at that battle rating. However, the French Super Sherman definitely comes out on top in terms of firepower and makes up for a lack of mobility and a slightly longer reload rate with the good ballistics of its cannon. Sometimes offense is the best defense. Now, up until recently, the French Super Sherman also had better frontal armor, then similar Shermans and the turret armor could be a bit more reliable as well. However, the thickness of both the turret face and the frontal plate have been reduced, so although the angling is decent, the armor is not nearly as reliable as it used to be, and at this battle rating, you can't really rely on your armor anyway, which is just fine if you play the Sherman as a medium tank, and QWERTY's here giving us a decent example of how you go about that. He's not pushing out into an area that's already covered by the enemy. He's not expecting his armor to absorb and deal with enemy fire. He's repositioning when he gets noticed. He's staying near hard cover, which is not a difficult thing to do in the Alaska map, even if it's difficult to understand. An ad like a billboard sign for gift shop open 7 days. How do you get a return on the investment for that level of advertising? Then again, I would never accuse Gaijin for understanding how proper advertising works. But, yeah, it seems like a billboard ad for a gift shop is kind of a waste of advertisement. It seems like something else should go up on that billboard. Maybe Marlboro cigarettes or something. Maybe that's why they didn't put that up there. Anyway, QWERTY's now scoping out a ghost town as suddenly the enemy team is quite a bit more quiet than they've been in the past, and we check the scoreboard and the red team being drained gradually of victory points, their team suffering heavy losses. QWERTY's team technically in the lead, but not holding the field, as the vast majority of his teammates are holding down the capture zone clustered in a single area. Now, thankfully, the enemy close air support seems to have dwindled off, but that could also mean that more enemy tanks are filtering into the field of battle, and that's not something that QWERTY wants to see, unless they happen to be filtering in side on to him and not paying attention to his location. QWERTY's pulling a little bit of a flank, moving around the enemy capture zone, no doubt listening for enemy tanks, using your ears. By far, in an urban environment, the best way to identify the location of enemy vehicles. Now, I've been getting quite a bit of enemy engine sounds cutting in and cutting out. It seems even worse lately since Gaijin started working on updating their sound, so hopefully that's another thing we'll see with update 1.91 is the introduction of a better sound system for War Thunder. I think it is time, and I've talked about that in other videos. I'm really looking forward to that, especially since I've started investing so much of my attention into listening to the environment. You can hear that Allied aircraft flying overhead and know where he's coming from. Even if you don't check the minimap right away, you can tell from the direction that he came from that he's most likely an Allied fighter. From the sounds of the engine, that could even be an inline engine. The radial engines tend to sound a little bit more ka-chug-ka-chuggy, but at the same time, a shot comes in, and I have no idea where that enemy vehicle came from. Was he camping that spot for quite some time? An interesting choice, and not a bad one, as the Churchill reveals himself. Looks like a Mark 7. And unfortunately for him, QWERTY with plenty of firepower to punch through the enemy tank. The timer for this match running down as QWERTY goes for the kill, his 15th ground target to be taken down. He's already taken down the turret crew, and he needs one more to finish off this Churchill. Again, his armor's not all that reliable, so he needs to beat the Churchill on the reload if he's going to be able to take him down, and he does. As the match comes to a close, he won't get credit for that 15th kill, except right here at Toshio Thunder. Thank you, QWERTY, for sending in that replay. Among the many other replays that you've sent in, you're always welcome to send me one. and I appreciate you all for sitting through my ramblings as I get back to making videos. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.